Exterior color is never completely still. It changes with the sky, responds to shadow, and can quietly alter the way we perceive the proportions of a home. On Craftsman and Ranch architecture, that relationship becomes especially revealing. These 10 colors each behave differently, and the most compelling transformation comes at number 1. Number 10, Grizzle Gray. Grizzle Gray is a charcoal with enough softness to keep it from reading as flat or absolute. In the morning, it can appear cooler and slightly quieter, giving the facade a clean sense of definition. Strong midday light reveals more of its gray character, while shaded areas become noticeably deeper, creating natural dimension across the elevation. From a distance, the color gives a home visual weight, making broad ranch proportions or substantial craftsman forms appear more grounded. Up close, it feels less severe and more nuanced. By evening, Grizzle Gray becomes increasingly atmospheric, a restrained architectural darkness that feels composed rather than dramatic. Number 9. Reddened Earth. Reddened Earth behaves very differently. Its character comes from the tension between muted brown and softened red, producing warmth without the intensity we normally associate with terracotta. Early daylight keeps that red influence restrained. As the sun strengthens, the color becomes earthier and more expressive, and by late afternoon, its warmer undertone begins to emerge naturally. Golden hour gives it remarkable depth without pushing it toward orange. Under an overcast sky, reddened earth settles back into a quieter brown, which is part of its enduring appeal. It changes noticeably with the atmosphere, yet never seems to lose its identity. There is something reassuringly settled about it. Number 8. Sagebrook. Sagebrook creates its impression through softness rather than depth. This is a gentle green whose muted quality prevents the facade from feeling overly colorful. Morning light can make it appear fresh and slightly clearer. Beneath stronger midday sun, the green becomes more apparent, yet remains controlled. When clouds move in, Sagebrook grows softer again, almost blending visually with the atmosphere. That restraint affects the perceived scale of a house. Large exterior planes feel less imposing, while the horizontal lines of a ranch home can appear calmer and more continuous. Even in shadow, the color rarely becomes heavy. Sagebrook maintains an easy visual rhythm, the kind of green that seems increasingly natural the longer you look at it. Number 7, Burlap. Burlap is defined by warmth, but what makes it interesting is how quietly that warmth is expressed. At first light, the color can feel muted and almost neutral, with its tan-brown foundation doing most of the work. Midday brings greater clarity, making the facade appear lighter and more open without washing away its earthy character. Later, as sunlight becomes warmer, burlap begins to feel fuller and more enveloping. Its visual weight sits comfortably in the middle, not pale enough to feel delicate, not dark enough to dominate the architecture. That balance makes burlap psychologically comforting. It gives the exterior a familiar, settled presence that feels neither overly polished nor intentionally rustic. It simply feels at ease. Number 6. Boothbay Gray. Boothbay Gray is one of those colors that reveals itself gradually. From across the street, the first impression is often gray, cool, restrained, and remarkably composed. Move closer or watch the light become softer, and its blue influence becomes easier to recognize. Morning gives Boothbay Gray an airy clarity. Under direct midday sun, it can appear lighter and more neutral. But during overcast weather, the blue-gray character becomes more atmospheric, creating a subtle sense of depth across the facade. Its cooler temperature also changes how we perceive architectural volume. Broad surfaces can feel visually lighter, while shadow lines remain crisp enough to preserve structure. Nothing about Boothbay Gray feels hurried. Its appeal comes from subtle shifts rather than immediate impact. Number 5. Pittsfield Buff. Pittsfield Buff works with light almost like a filter. Its golden cream character carries warmth, yet the color is softened enough that it doesn't immediately read as yellow. In cooler morning conditions, that warmth sits quietly beneath the surface. Midday makes the facade feel brighter and more open, while late afternoon sunlight draws the golden undertone forward. This is where Pittsfield Buff becomes especially expressive. Rather than simply getting brighter, it seems to develop a gentle internal glow. Shadow has the opposite effect, muting the warmth and revealing a calmer, more grounded side of the color. That ability to move between brightness and restraint keeps Pittsfield Buff visually engaging through changing weather and seasons without becoming overly cheerful or overly traditional. Number 4. Needlepoint Navy. Needlepoint Navy changes our perception of the entire structure through visual weight. From a distance, its deep blue reads almost as a single architectural mass, making the silhouette of the house feel stronger and more deliberate. Yet, as you approach, the blue becomes clearer, preventing the exterior from collapsing into something that simply looks dark. Bright daylight gives Needlepoint Navy greater definition. In shade, it becomes denser and more reserved. Under a gray sky, however, something interesting happens. The color feels quieter rather than duller. As evening arrives, its depth increases again, giving the facade an almost enveloping presence. This is a navy that doesn't rely on brightness for character. Its strength comes from composure. Number 3. Rookwood Shutter Green. Rookwood Shutter Green carries a very different kind of depth, one that feels mature from the beginning. Its forest green character is dark enough to establish presence, but softened enough to avoid the sharpness of a cleaner, more saturated green. In morning shade, it can appear dense and almost reserved. As daylight moves across the facade, the green slowly becomes more recognizable. What makes it particularly compelling is its response to uneven light. Recessed areas deepen considerably, while exposed surfaces retain enough color to create subtle, tonal layering. Across changing seasons, that depth remains convincing. Bright summer light gives it clarity. Softer autumn and winter skies emphasize its more historic character. It feels less concerned with being current than with belonging for a very long time. Number 2. Roycroft Suede. Roycroft Suede is a study in visual warmth and density. Unlike lighter earth tones that depend on sunlight to come alive, this brown carries its character even when the day turns gray. Overcast conditions make it feel deeper and more contemplative, while direct sunlight reveals a warmer, softer side that isn't immediately obvious from a paint sample. Its effect on scale is equally interesting. Large facades gain substance and long horizontal forms feel anchored rather than stretched. During golden hour, Roycroft Suede reaches its richest expression. The surface warms gradually, shadows become deeper, and the entire exterior seems more dimensional. Then evening removes that warmth again, leaving behind a calm, substantial brown with an unmistakable sense of permanence. Number 1. Pewter Green. Pewter Green earns the final position because its character is remarkably difficult to reduce to a single moment. In cool morning light, the gray influence is more noticeable, giving the green a restrained, almost mineral quality. Under midday sun, its true green character becomes clearer, but never excessively vivid. Move into shadow, and the color deepens dramatically without losing its identity. From farther away, pewter green can make a house feel grounded and quietly substantial. Closer inspection reveals far more variation, cooler passages, deeper shaded areas, and subtle shifts in temperature as daylight changes. By dusk, it becomes calm and enveloping. Pewter green doesn't need constant attention. Its strength is that there is always something slightly different to notice. The most enduring exterior colors aren't necessarily the ones that make the strongest first impression. They're the ones that continue revealing something as the light shifts, the weather changes, and the seasons move around the home. On Craftsman and Ranch architecture, the right color doesn't simply decorate the exterior, it strengthens the character that was already there. Which of these 10 colors feels most at home on your favorite style? Share your choice in the comments, and if you'd like to explore more thoughtfully chosen exterior palettes, continue with the next video.